Welcome back, everyone, to Bay Sunday. We live in an age of brain overload, don't you think so? I mean, it seems we're always trying to keep up with the latest in technology and trends, terror alerts, television channels, political talking points. But right now, I want you to pause for a moment to meet an author who has an insightful look at reorganizing our thought process to solve the world's problems. Yes, there is hope. Here to discuss her book, The Watchman's Rattle, Thinking Our Way Out of Extinction. Please welcome author Rebecca Costa. Rebecca, welcome to you.
Thank you.
Interesting title, The Watchman's Rattle. Where did that come from?
Well, the first police forces that humans had didn't carry weapons or arms. They carried a large rattle as a warning and a summons for help when they saw danger on the way. So I thought that this was a good summons for help, that we're in a bit of trouble right now.
We all know about all the problems out there, but why aren't we, as smart, intelligent, caring people, able to solve these problems?
Well, interestingly enough, our problems aren't political. It turns out they're biological in nature. And, of course, I would say that. I'm a sociobiologist, but it turns out that there's an uneven rate of change. If you think about it, evolution, our being able to develop new capabilities, such as new cognitive capabilities, takes hundreds of millions of years. But change is occurring now in picoseconds.
Look at technology now. What, weeks and months it changes?
It changes in a matter of months. I now don't even know half the features in my new car. And the manual is so big, it's daunting. I'd have to take a month to figure out what they are. But we're in a position right now where people are having a lot of trouble understanding how to vote on ballot measures. We don't have time to go and research them. We don't even know if composting is good. I went to a environmental program where they were talking about composting, and the first guy said, that's the minimum we should all do, save our garbage and compost it. And then the next guy got up and said, no, it produces methane gas. It's terrible for the environment. I don't want anybody composting.
You know, no one can agree these days, and you talk about this. You address it in the book. They're what you call memes, and you didn't come up with this term, memes, but where it's basically a very popular idea, belief. Everybody sort of jumps on the bandwagon, and you don't really get to the nitty-gritty or the core of the real issue. How do we go about changing our way of thinking?
Well, when we come up against complexity that exceeds the cognitive abilities that we've evolved to this point in time, we need mitigation strategies that are different. We need high failure rate mitigations, like such as those that venture capitalists use. For every 100 companies they invest in, they only expect maybe 15 or 20 to be the big winners and to dwarf the losses of 85 investments. And in that way, when we're up against a complex problem where we can't pick the winning solutions from the losing solutions, we have to bet, and we have to accept a large threshold of waste.
Well, and you're also talking about we're not used to accepting failure, not even one failure. We're just not used to that.
We're insisting that our leaders come up with the one elixir solution. That's why we come up with one mitigation after another. All the while, our problems are worsening, and we know in our hearts we are handing off a substantially worse world to our children. We have to do something about that.
So what do we change? I know you also address the idea of really taking a closer look, looking at the inside, understanding that we really can take some of these complex problems and break them down and find solutions.
Absolutely. If evolution is the problem, we have to mitigate in a high failure rate way, such as venture capitalists do. But interestingly enough, neuroscientists have in the last 3 years discovered a third form of problem solving by putting skull caps on human beings and administering increasingly complex problems. And we discovered that in addition to the left brain logical form of problem solving and the right brain synthesis form of problem solving, every now and again, about 300 milliseconds before you're going to have an aha moment, an insight, so to speak, and solve a very complex problem, a small part of the human brain lights up like a Christmas tree called the ASTG. And we're at the point now where we can predict when you're going to have a breakthrough and use this third form of problem solving to solve a highly complex problem.
All right, maybe we don't know that much about what goes on in our head, but what advice would you give people who want to be better thinkers and solvers?
Well, one is to realize that your problems that you face today may have nothing to do with a weakness in character. It may simply have to do with the fact that this biological organism is up against a limitation. And now we have to adopt high failure rate models. And my advice to people is, when you run up against a problem, don't try to look for the one solution. Administer many solutions and expect some of them to fail. And by all means, take on brain fitness. We should be using brain fitness tools every single day of our life.
Good idea. We can hear more now on Earth Day, April 22nd. You're going to be speaking at the
Corrett Auditorium. I'll be there at noon.
Okay, Rebecca Costa, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And again, Rebecca's book is called The Watchman's Rattle. For more information, you can log on to RebeccaCosta.com/book. Coming up, we're going to keep you thinking, this time about a particular emotion, a very complex emotion. We're going to talk about why anger can be a gift in life.
Experts from a leading consumer publication recently tested automatic dishwashing detergents, and they rated Finish Quantum #1, beating the competition. And now, take the Finish Challenge for yourself. If you don't see a difference, it's free.
Never in my lifetime did I think I could walk 60 miles in 3 days.
60 miles compared to what a cancer patient